Dear Mr. Congressman, my eyes have seen what so far 1.2 million other children's eyes have seen across our country. We have seen the sadness of our fathers' faces when we were forced out of our homes due to this thing called foreclosure. My aunt, whose family home was also foreclosed, said that 1.2 million children is equivalent to almost every child that lives in 3 cities the size of Philadelphia being forced out of their home. Can you imagine every child in 3 cities that big? I will never forget how sick my dad looked the night we were forced out of our home, when, in all the confusion, we could not find my little sister's special blanket and bedtime storybook. We were also upset because we had to give our family pet away since we did not have a place to bring him. My daddy lost his job, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not find another one. He lost all his and Mommy's savings. Then, because of something I cannot understand called being upside down on our home, we lost it, just like my aunt and her family. When my mom, dad, uncle, and aunt were trying to figure out where we all were going to live and go to school, they were talking about history and something called economics. They said all our real problems started back in 1886, when the Supreme Court kind of conspired to give corporations something called corporate personhood. Once the corporations got the corporate personhood thing, they were able to win all kinds of court cases. Then, in 1976, the Supreme Court said that speech is money. After that, my aunt said, hell broke loose. I don't understand all this, as I thought speech was what comes out of a natural person's mouth, and money was something that the banks had a whole lot of. My uncle said that ever since my money became speech, most of the politicians were purchased by corporations with the money. He said that politicians stopped using very important things like the Sherman Antitrust Act that was supposed to protect us from really power-hungry companies getting too big. He said the politicians also did as they were told by the big corporations and banks when they tossed out the Glass-Steagall Act, which was supposed to protect us from really selfish and greedy people. He said there was a Swiss study that showed that the whole economy of the world was being largely controlled by just 137 corporations, which are like a cancerous tumor sucking the life out of the worldwide economy. My aunt said that it's only going to get worse since the Robert Fives Court threw out over 100 years of laws using a thing called Citizens United. She said the courts have given away the keys to both our country's and the world's fate to a plutocracy, which I learned means a very small, self-serving, wealthy group. She said that this is all really dangerous, and there may be an ideal setting for a perfect storm on our horizon. My mom was talking about the men that started our country. She said men like the heavy one with the funny glasses and the kite would be sick to their stomachs if they could see how things have turned out. She said back then, that man saw our country as a rising sun, but today he would see it as a setting sun. After he and the other great men came out of Independence Hall, having just completed the Constitution, a lady called out to him. "What did you bear there?" she said. He answered, "A republic, madam, and I hope you can keep it." My mom said, "He is crying out from heaven. How could you have lost our republic?" You see, what I learned was that back then, those great men that started our country were trying to set up a nation for almost the first time, that we the people had all the rights, and we gave all the privileges to institutions, corporations, churches, and the wealthy. All the terrible, unwise things the Supreme Court and politicians let happen because of corporate personhood and the influence of campaign financing has turned it all upside down. I guess just like our upside down foreclosed home. Mr. Congressman, can you explain to me why it all has to be this way? Can you help? So millions of other children do not have to learn firsthand, as we have, the meaning of the word humiliation? Sincerely yours, just 2 of 1 million pair of children's eyes so far.